Welcome to Powered by Snowflake, a series where I interview technology leaders building applications and businesses on Snowflake. I'm your host, Daniel Myers, and today I'm talking with Mike Maloney, Field Chief Data Officer at Snowplow. Snowplow is a behavioral data platform that enables you to create and operationalize rich, first-party customer behavioral data. Mike, how are you today?
Wonderful, Daniel. Awesome to be here.
I am really excited that you're here in the studio with me today, and I want to learn more about how Snowplow is powered by Snowflake. So to kick this off, tell me in your own words, what is Snowplow?
Yeah, so Snowplow is a data creation platform for behavioral data, right? So long story short, we have events that happen in our life, getting in a car. Now we're really talking about the digital space, so websites, playing on games, Internet of Things, anything where two entities interact, that's what we're working with. So easiest way to understand it, we all go on websites to buy things, right? We have a website or a company with a product, and we have us. We are creating events on that website, whether it's clicking, reading reviews, scrolling down pages, whatever our journey is on that website, we're helping companies capture that. So it's first party, privacy focused, or you could also think about it as predictive maintenance, Internet of Things. So I believe we all know what a lawnmower is and how smart every machine is today. So Internet of Things, events are happening on that lawnmower. We could be capturing events, sending them back to John Deere or whoever to help predict maintenance on that lawnmower.
That makes a lot of sense. So one, I love the name Snowplow. Tell me, how did that come about? It seems, very related to Snowflake.
Yes, we are not a subsidiary of Snowflake, but the long story short, Snowplow, the idea came when Alex and Yali founded the company in 2012, right? They were really looking for a way to provide better information to companies. They saw kind of the Amazons of the world, Netflix was popping up, and they're all using data from their platform. Snowplow is really kind of a reference to taking those individual pieces of data, snowflakes, and putting them together into something that can be actioned. So it really makes a lot of sense that we use Snowflake so much and use the data cloud to kind of make that actionable. Really kind of a great coincidence. I'm not sure how it happened, but it kind of worked out.
Yeah, that metaphor definitely, I'm loving it. Tell me, who are some of the biggest name customers that you have today? And tell me a little bit about that.
One that we have in common, very big customer, Strava, tens of billions of events a month. I think we were joking earlier about our ultras. I'm a Strava subscriber myself. Auto Trader, Burberry, Charlotte Tilbury, DPG Media. So a number of big customers who are really taking that behavioral data and doing sometimes things we can't even imagine to kind of bring more personalized experience to their customers.
So I love hearing about the scale there. I mean, that really puts it into perspective, the scale that Snowplow is operating at today with that number of websites, the number of events that you're ingesting. That's pretty impressive. So tell me more about how is Snowplow powered by Snowflake?
Snowplow, we're sitting at the front of that kind of architecture platform. And if you want, I can dive into kind of a little architecture.
Yeah.
This is the Snowplow architecture, right? And as I talked about, we kind of play in this data creation space up front, right? So in a minute, I'll go into the console. We'll talk about the different trackers we have to capture events. And then we have in our pipeline really this concept of validate and enhance, right? So we want to make sure all the events you get, they're unified, they're validated against your event schema. We'll talk about that in a minute. And then we enrich them and we use our privacy controls. And our privacy controls, again, privacy is a major thing for us along with companies that we work with. It really comes down to being on your private SaaS, although we are adding a managed behavioral data platform cloud option for companies that don't have their own private SaaS, really having per event consent and tracking, and really having that lineage and that PII anonymization that we'll talk about as an enrichment. Then we move into your guys' world. So Snowflake being the center, being the data cloud, the hub, and then we have really downstream what we'll talk about today, your ability to train models, whether that's Data Robot, Dataiku, your own in-house bespoke models, your BI platforms, your reverse ETLs, and kind of trigger that in-session action from mobile apps.
Yeah, that's beautiful. And, I love that you mentioned kind of that Snowflake network effect.
What we're seeing a lot is other companies now, they have departments where not just marketing, right? So like we've talked a lot about Marketing Day. It's a use case everybody understands. But now we see advertising and marketing teams working together on that one source of truth, which is something that we've really been after with Snowplow, and Snowflake makes it possible because you can build those tables and build that lineage all the way through.
Yep, that makes a lot of sense. So let's see a live demo of this today.
Yeah. All right. Being such a privacy-focused company, me and another fella, Mike Robbins, built this website to kind of demonstrate the power of Snowplow, right? So just out of the box, you're going to immediately get these page pings helping you understand people's journey, how long they're on pages, right? We're going to go down, and all of a sudden you're going to see us kind of explode there, right? So all these product impressions. Now, what are these product impressions? Really, this Chrome plugin that we give to all of our users helps you kind of see what is in that JSON that we're collecting, right? So you have the app that you're collecting it from that you can assign. You have the event type, self-describing, when this event happened, the collectors it's going through, kind of the schema. We use something called Igloo for us to kind of validate that event. And then we have a whole bunch of information before it gets enriched. What was the platform? Multiple timestamps. I'll talk about a little bit why timestamps are so important to modeling. And then kind of just a bunch of information, that network user ID. So one of the major features is because we're first party, because the way we're built on kind of that open source standard, we have that network user ID that allows you, once someone joins a loyalty program, things become, someone has identified themselves to you, you can go back and link that user's interactions over, let's call it up to 2 years even, and understand how did they become someone who converted and became a loyalty program member or someone who self-identified on your website. So just lots of information. I think I'll show in a little bit. Out of the box, we have about 140 columns in this dense, long and wide atomic events table that since Hadoop and now Spark and data cloud platforms have come along, everyone really loves those long, wide tables so that we can mutate and transform those things to things that are useful for individuals. When you log into the Snowplow console, you'll see a number of things. I'm going to hit just a few highlights today. So in the console, when you come in, you'll see a nice little welcome. You'll see your environments. We have a few running here, and you can see your sandboxes. Just to go through talking about those data structures, this is a kind of a look at Igloo. You can see kind of who built things, when did they edit them, who was the vendor. All of this is JSON that you can use to describe what your event structure should look like. So if you want to build ad impressions or multi-step funnels, we make that very easy for you to do and to keep track of. A few more things. And these data models, right? So I talked about that one wide, long atomic table that we end up in. What we do here is we allow you to run jobs to break things up, right? So from that atomic events table in your data cloud, you can run dbt, you can run our own jobs that will mutate or transform that data into page sessions or marketing attribution or other use cases, A/B testing tables that everyone's working off of one source of truth. From here, we have kind of all of the trackers. So as I mentioned before, kind of your consumer trackers, your front end, iOS. These are very lightweight trackers that make it very easy for you to capture different data. They're all customizable. But we also have IoT, email, call center, DevOps, all kinds of different types of trackers that you can put into your ecosystem to kind of capture that behavioral data. And then your destinations catalogs. So right there, built for speed, even with the most intense workloads, we got Snowflake. Now, I kind of want to just go into some of the key enrichments. We're going to talk about a next best action use case. 3 that I kind of want to point out here that I spend most of my time talking about. Campaign attribution. So this is a enrichment that we built that allows you to break out separately the query string parameters that a lot of people use to generate marketing campaign fields. So as data scientists, we love to have a bunch of features, or even data analysts, ways to segment people, ways to look at different cohorts of behavior. This is one of the main ones that a lot of people use. Additionally, like I said, privacy, that PII removal, right? So we're going to help you remove all the PII data as part of your pipeline. That one is very popular. And then the last, and one of my favorites because everybody loves a good map, is the IP lookups. So this one is going to go in based on the user's IP address, help you find where those people that are interacting with your product are coming from. Now, lastly, if those aren't your speed or you need something else, we have API requests, we have JavaScript, we have HTTP, header extractors, currency conversions. We have a number of enrichments that you can use going forward.
This is a pretty powerful platform that you've built out. Tell me more about some of the kind of core features of Snowflake that you've had to leverage when building this platform.
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the biggest things, right, is our ability to load that amount of data. I think also when you think about something like putting in 10 billion events or whatever the number is, even if it's 1,000, right, being able to operate at that scale as everything becomes really a digital transaction. When you're operating at that scale, you have to kind of think about the future, build for modular kind of setup, right? And something like, as companies build out, what we're working with on them is when to copy data. So the secure copy. As we move into this era of clean rooms, which we're very excited about, right?
Yeah.
Trading data, right? Snowflake secure share. That is things that we are very bullish on as we go into the future. And then what we're really doing as we move through is we're thinking about things that are coming out that are new, right? So I use Snowpark and Streamlit pretty extensively in building things out, right? So like I said, a data scientist. So being able to do things as we give people recipes, right? So I like to think of accelerators as recipes because, as I said before, everyone's business is a little bit different, right? We're going to give you the recipe for the brownies. If you want to add in a feature, or if you want to add in chocolate chips or cookie dough or something exotic like Reese's Pieces, we want you to be able to do that. So as we build apps and accelerators on top of the Snowplow data, right? Because we're up at the front of the ecosystem. As we build out more and more, we want retailers, developers, manufacturers, whoever, to have that flexibility to use those tools that are native to them.
Makes total sense. And I love that you mentioned Streamlit. How do you plan on leveraging, or how have you been experimenting with Streamlit today?
Yeah, so I experimented a little bit with Streamlit just to build this out, right? So part of the beauty of something like Snowflake is the ability to build apps, right? Snowplow, to your point, is a very flexible, powerful platform, but we can build the events, we can build the actions to match your business, right? So really something that we're really excited about is working with our partners, with our clients going forward to kind of make sure they're getting the value from Snowplow and Snowflake to kind of move them up that data maturity curve a lot faster. So this is one of the accelerators coming very soon. We're using a couple of things that are still in the experimentation phase with Snowflake. So Snowpipe, which we're very excited about to get to that near or real time, so to say, capabilities, and Snowpark, which as a data scientist, there's just a bunch of things that are a lot easier to do in Python than they are in SQL. And I'll kind of highlight a couple of those with Streamlit. This is something I built very recently on Streamlit to kind of highlight the power of Snowplow data with Snowflake and Streamlit, right? Streamlit, something we've been using in our data product accelerators, our accelerators for a little bit, right in Python. A lot of people are familiar with Plotly and all those capabilities. And Streamlit's just a nice natural extension for a lot of those people with that coding background, right? So we're going to look at this next best action. So this is kind of a superset of our e-commerce insights dashboard, right? So this is a little snippet of data from our demo data set where we have kind of November to end of December, kind of the crazy buying period. And you can kind of see the number of transactions, and you can build these really rich dashboards that speak a lot more than just numbers on a page, which I was very excited about, right? And I had all that flexibility that comes with Python and the power of Snowflake to query massive amounts of data and bring them back, right? So very easily I can communicate this multi-step funnel where we're losing people, right? So we're losing a lot of people from step 1 to step 2. Even though we have 15% of the people going through the checkout, we're still losing 12%, right? So what do we do about that 12% we're losing? That's where we can start to build models, and my favorite model is always the model that works. But then we can, with something like Snowpark, quickly go through them. So with Streamlit, I'm just going to show some of the features of our data and kind of how we think about them with Snowflake, right? So as I said, we have this very rich events table, right? We have 3 timestamps, and I think this is very important, right? Because when you collect data isn't always when it lands in the warehouse, right? So that can even be a characteristic of behavior. I think I talked earlier before we started filming even, where in insurance, it didn't really matter how fast you were going. Yes, speed is an indicator of a potential crash, but it's kind of that below the surface, right? How fast is someone accelerating and braking? That kind of helps label someone as an aggressive or possibly dangerous driver, even more than how fast they're going. And being on Snowflake and with that Snowplow data, you can start to kind of look at different interactions, right? So we have those timestamps. This is going through our enhancements. So we have kind of all those lat longs, the zip codes, the regions, right? And then at the end, those events, and there's, like I said, 140, 150 features in here that you can look for interactions, build things, and we publish some recommendations. As we get to those impressions, we have that rich variant JSON data that has tons of information in it. And that's just one row, right? That's some of those impressions we made earlier. Now, just to go a little deeper into Streamlit, and this is pretty much right out of the box, we've published some recipes. As I said, I like to think of our accelerators as recipes. So we have these custom views, pretty easy to make. That's a pretty simple group by, order by with some counts. So we can see engagement per user, number of days a month on the site. Pretty easy to see. These are some visualizations of some of our other recipes, new versus existing customers, right? So people who have done transactions before. All those lat longs, this is just straight out of the box. Where are people buying our things? Revenue over time. Lots of just easy to use features that integrate nicely and can help you build apps that are bespoke for your business with just a little bit of guidance. One of my favorites, and I experimented quite a bit with Snowpark, lots of flexibility to build the model outside on your laptop, upload it as a UDF and make it usable for everybody, but also the power to build it in. Now, one of the things going back to those timestamps, and this is much more difficult in something like SQL than it is in Pandas or Python, is the ability to kind of build shifts, right? So a lot of time-based analysis comes down to lags and looking at dates and how far between interactions. it's really just 3 lines of code to start to build those lags in something like Snowpark or Python, where in SQL, that would be a bunch of work with some subqueries, right? Now, this is one where we built that predicting the next purchase date. And to really, once that model was built, this is an example of us uploading it into Snowpark. It's not many lines of code. I would say that's probably about 15 lines of code. And, to have all the supporting information to show your stakeholders and being able to make that transparent is something that I've noticed as someone who came from industry, super important to be able to build kind of these dashboards and to be able to do them quickly. Kind of one I want to highlight here, and this is just going to be a snippet of code around market response, right? So we're going to predict whether based on someone's characteristics, and this is just a subsample of them, and whether they're going to convert, should we offer them buy one, get one free, a discount, or should we not offer them anything? Maybe they're never going to buy based on their behavior anyways, right? So I'm just going to scroll down here a little towards the end. And this is one of my favorite parts, right? So this is me in what I did in multiple steps and outside within Snowpark, training, running a couple of different functions, evaluating the model, all in one procedure where I can call different functions, right? So this is going to return a string, but the packages I use are very simple. They're very common to most of us. Pandas, NumPy, XGBoost, always popular, and scikit-learn. And then I just add the Snowpark Python. But I can go through and based on just giving it a session, and this is from a notebook, I can pick a table to pull things from. It could be a file, and then I can put that in another table. So really kind of some simple code. Here's the model being built right here. Again, 6 or 7 lines of code, but now I'm training and evaluating all of that. And we talked earlier, this could be billions of rows. And in some cases, you want to be very careful looking for data drift, looking for concept drift, things that analysts are familiar with. And just to kind of clarify that, that could be introducing a new product. That could be opening up a new geography, something where your features and your data is going to change. You need to be able to look at that and respond to it sometimes very quickly. And something that wasn't possible 5, 10 years ago is now pretty simple and in a language that a lot of people can understand. So when you add kind of that premium first party data that your AI and analytics deserves, doing it on Snowflake at scale is a very nice bonus that I couldn't have imagined.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And, I see on here as well, you have a Snowpipe example. I couldn't help but notice that.
Yes.
Tell me about that.
Yeah. So this is using a couple of experimental features that are still in Streamlit and Snowpipe. It is all in private preview. As I mentioned before, moving up that data maturity curve is really important to a lot of companies, right? So you kind of always start out sticks and stones, counting, but then you quickly move up to these events where, as I mentioned earlier, possibly buying boots or something, and you might abandon your cart, or you want to do personalization for a customer's journey, right? Give them the nudge in the right direction and make them feel understood. So Snowpipe is something that's very important to us, right? Because just like Snowpark allows us to process at scale, Snowpipe helps us get the data in faster so that we can act on it in an appropriate time manner that everyone expects nowadays, right? Everyone expects that quick response and that quick personalization. So again, this is using some experimental features, and we just started playing around with the private preview. Experimental data frame from Streamlit. You can kind of see different times in here, and I've shortened the table just so you can see different event IDs here, different page views. Now, through Snowpipe, I'm going to run a script that is going to click on that website a few times. And now in almost real time, you can see those events pushing right into Snowflake in near real time. So when you combine Snowpipe and Snowpark, you can really give people the personalization they expect. And quite frankly, we hope you think your customers deserve.
I really like how you've framed and really developed this end-to-end element here where, with Snowpark, the fact that the compute is happening inside of Snowflake means you get that scalability and the performance that Snowflake has out of the box. And at the same time, you get the development experience of Python and pandas for that matter.
To me, the thing that is really exciting is we've kind of been focused so much on the trackers and the features and the speed of getting data into your data cloud or however you want to keep it, right?
Yeah.
Now what we're doing is we're really kind of bringing that expertise back to the customers, right? So we've kind of been focusing on outcomes a lot more, right? So you'll see us get a lot more vocal about things like AV product analytics, things that kind of are moving up that data maturity curve from just counting sticks and stones, visitors, to how can you build little features that make the big difference?
I couldn't agree with you more that it's first-party data and it's you got to make sense of it, and that's making sense of the data brings a huge amount of value that unless you scratch one level below the surface, it might not be readily visible. And so platforms and tools like this make that easier. So Mike, it's been great having you in the studio today and learning all about Snowplow. For the audience, where should they go to learn more about you and more about Snowplow?
Yeah, it was awesome being here, Daniel. So long story short, you can email me directly at Maloney, MALONEY, at snowplow.io, or you can go to Snowplow's website, snowplow.io, schedule a demo. We can chat. We can see how Snowplow can help you in your business.
Fantastic. And for everybody watching, if you want to learn more about how to build your application or your business on Snowflake, check out developers.snowflake.com. And also, if you want to see more videos like this, be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. My name is Daniel Myers, and this has been another episode of Powered by Snowflake.